Hey, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Whit, if you don't know, and this is Beat Cop. It's a neat game. If you haven't already seen somebody do a review on it or a playthrough of it, I'll give you a quick little synopsis of it. It's supposedly inspired by 80s police shows, so we're talking like Hunter, Bonanza, things like that, right? Okay, it definitely has some references and jokes from late 90s stuff too, and it's not all, references to police movies either, just so you're aware of that. I'll do a too long didn't read kind of, or too long didn't watch portion here now too, and just give you my opinion here. I would say it's definitely worth a buy. If I had to give it a number from 1 to 10, I would say probably a 7 out of 10, and I'll explain why later, but just for the shorter explanation, it's definitely worth the asking price. There's a ton of content in it for what it is. I think I've put like 8 hours into it, and I haven't beaten it yet, and even a dev said it should take like 6 to 10 hours to beat, but I think it's going to take me longer than that because I've gone back and wanted to make like each day perfect. Alright, so that's the end of that. Let's get into it, right? The music is pretty darn good. I haven't gotten to a point to where the music's like, oh wow, I'm getting sick of hearing this same song over and over and over and over again. And as far as that goes, that's it, right? Not much else to talk about the audio in the game. Each day has something a little bit different that it brings. Obviously, your first day is like a tutorial day. The next day, introduces something new, and then you've got to write tickets, catch perps, talk to people on your beat, things like that. So it's pretty cool. You actually have to pay attention to whether you're actually writing the tickets correctly. Like, are you giving somebody a ticket for their tires being bad or lights out, or is it a parking violation? And if you're wrong, there's complaints, and you might not get your paycheck at the end of the day or anything like that. And there's kind of a little economy system, I guess, in the game. You can take bribes, you have to pay alimony to your ex-wife, things like that. Yeah, and I don't want to like spoil any of the storyline for you, so we're not going to do that here at all. So then, is the gameplay fun? Yes, it is. It hasn't gotten to a point to where it's monotonous or anything like that. As far as replayability goes, though, it might be a little monotonous. I mean, it seems like the cars and things like that are random, and maybe some of the robberies, they seem like they're random, even when you play back on the same day. But some things are not random, and you're going to have to walk all the way to the east side of the street and all the way to the west side of the street on the same days. So replayability, dealer's choice, right? If you like the game enough, you're probably going to want to do that or not. And that's the end of the gameplay. Yeah, the gameplay is fun. There's definitely some flaws, and I'm going to get into the bad right now on gameplay. The only one that's really bad is probably the shooting. It doesn't explain to you what you're supposed to do on the shooting, so I'll explain that real quickly. When you get into a situation where you have to do some shooting, your gun will highlight down on your tool belt, and you have to click on it, and then a cursor will be like on the screen hovering back and forth over the perp, and you have to click on the screen, not the gun, to shoot the guy when the cursor is right over him. And if you wait too long, you get killed and the game's over. And unfortunately, with how it saves, you have to start the day completely over. So your shift ends at 6 p.m. If you get killed at 4 p.m., guess what? You're playing the whole day over again. And that's something that's a little unfortunate. And maybe you should be able to go to like the shooting range or something and learn how to shoot, just so you're prepared for that, because it kind of sucks, if you just did a perfect day and then you get killed by something, right? Other than that, though, there's really no issues. That's it. That's the only complaint I have as far as the gameplay aspect of it goes. To wrap up gameplay, one thing that they're probably going to fix maybe in an update if they notice, or if somebody complains about it being too easy or something. Okay, so you can only call one tow truck. You can only have one tow truck on the screen at a time when you're towing a vehicle away, and you can see it down on your little, you'll have a Motorola radio, and you'll have 3 options on there to do something with, like report a person, report a car, or tow it, right? Well, you can pull up your notepad or go and talk to somebody, and that stops time. So if you do that, you can wait until the tow truck leaves the screen, and then go ahead and tow the next vehicle that you need to tow. Or you can pull those up to search for, like, you can see little, like, you can see tire tread marks that'll tell you tires are bad, or you can see like lights sparking and you'll know they're bad. So you can pause the game basically and find out which cars you need to write a ticket for, so time's not flying by. They're probably gonna have to figure out a way around that or find a happy balance. I don't know. It's gimmicky. So you as the player, you can decide whether you want to do that or not if you're trying to do like a 100% completion playthrough. And that's all I'm gonna say about that. Now let's move on to the script or the storyline, the dialogue in the game, right? For me, I would say most of it is excellent, and there's a really good storyline hidden in the game. And most of it's interesting, and it keeps you wanting to find out what's going on. But I have an issue with some of it, and I guess the developers trying too hard to be funny, I guess. I mean, they use the word cuckold more than once, and it's just, I don't know, it's off-putting to me. Maybe it's because I'm older now and I'm not part of whatever weird generational bullshit that thinks that's funny is going on, but it just seems out of place with the rest of the game. Like, okay, so for instance, you've got a briefing every morning, and this is what I talk about with like a good storyline. I don't know. I served in the military, so the banter that goes on between the police officers is pretty spot on with how you would joke around with your friends. I mean, you wouldn't think that you would normally talk to people like that, but in the military, you know, saying, hey, fuck you is pretty much good morning, right? So that stuff seems pretty on the ball, but there's some other stuff that happens later on with like a porno film and cooking up basically meth or something. I don't know what kind of drug they're supposed to be cooking up, but an ingredient is cum in it. Spoiler alert, sorry, but it's just, it's a little bit too childish for me. Like, personally, if it was me and I was the writer of this game and I had like some of this excellent storyline stuff going on with the mystery, and then I had to write some shit like that, I'd be ashamed. But again, this is just my opinion. I'm sure 14-year-olds and shit probably love it and think it's hilarious, so there's something in this game for everybody, I guess is what you want to take from what I'm saying about that. This basically wraps up my review or impressions of the game. It is fun. It's worth a buy. I'm not going to go over the tech specs of it. It's, you know, look at it. You don't need to really be worried about the options menu or anything like that. I did have to turn the volume down a bit, but I mostly think that's because of my dedicated sound card. It makes everything louder because it's got an amp on it. I don't think that's an issue with the game. So that's it. Let me, please feel free to give me feedback and argue with me about what you didn't agree with. Critique is always great if you can explain to me why you feel that way. If not, I'll ignore your ass. Alright, you guys take it easy and enjoy.